have a special episode today and we have guests from abroad and we have our own Marvin Gauci. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dino. How are you?
Very well.
Nice
Thank you
to
for
see
having us here at your place. We're at Caviar Bull and the place is lovely. The wine is even better. And coming to wine, we have with us Carlos Alberto Coelho. Now, he's not a famous writer, both of them, Carlos Castaneda or Paulo Coelho, but he is a famous winemaker. So,
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here with you today.
thank you, Carlos. Marvin, Maltese-born chef and restaurateur. You are recognized as ambassador of gastronomy for Malta. Can you tell us more about your beginnings, your journey? Tell us your life story quickly, if you can, please.
So, to make it very quick, from the age of 13, I've been working in the kitchens. I had the pleasure to work in Sea Bank Hotel at a very young age. After that, from there until the age of 19, when I opened my first restaurant, I worked in multiple places. And then at 19, I moved to Ireland with my wife. We had our firstborn over there. And I was working in a hotel over there. And then after the hotel, I took over like a golf club, the catering of the golf club. A year later, we came to Malta. From then, when I was 20, I opened Wild Time in partnership with the owner of the building. And it went for about 4 or 5 years. And from then we moved to Tarragon straight away. And we opened Tarragon 07. We were in Tarragon for maybe 7-8 years, I think, in. And I needed a new challenge. And people inspired me, friends telling me I should do another one. You know, there was the market. I had a phone call from Corinthia, the CEO of Corinthia, Simon Naudi, who is a great gentleman, and he is the one that gave me the opportunity to partner up with them, and they gave me this place. Lock, stock and barrel, and within 3 months we were packed every day. And we started thinking about expanding, we started thinking about employing more people, we opened upstairs, from upstairs we opened then Dinner in the Sky. Obviously he wasn't happy that I didn't do it here with him, Dinner in the Sky. So he told me, I have something else for you. But I think it was before actually that we opened Caviar Bull in Budapest, because he had a place over there, a restaurant where it was actually a coffee shop, marzipan place. And he said to me, what do you think of this place? I said, I can make a Caviar Bull here, if you would like. And we did the second one over there. And it went a success from day one till today. It's a very good restaurant and sustainable as well.
Still, we need to say that Caviar Bull, as such, in Malta and your other restaurants, you are paying a lot of respect on sustainability. You're heavily investing in sustainable resources, staff, education.
Education is the most important thing. We try and educate our staff as best as we can. In all honesty, at the moment, most of the people that are in the industry is because they want to be there, not because they are there for money, because
Survival mode.
it's a survival mode, yeah. Unless you change your way of making business. If you change the way of making business and you modernize everything that you have and you make it more productive, and the procedures and the standards that you do are not wasting time but actually productive, then you have a chance to at least make 10-15% profit. But you need to be on the ball all the time.
Hard work is necessary for everything, I think.
Absolutely. Now, having said about the restaurants and the evolution of the restaurant industry throughout the last
Decades.
500 years,
Jesus.
the human being have evolved in a way that it got more sophisticated. Later it got more educated, and with that came better food, better understanding, a lot of needs, but the actual people did not develop on the way that the industry have actually wanted to grow. So you can have a lot of you can have a lot of artists, but the people nowadays have a concept of work that is completely different than what it was after the Second World War. So we used to need to work, want to progress. Our parents taught us how to work really, really hard to become somebody, to progress. And now the kids live a complete different world. For them, the job is almost a given. It's not something they have to go hunt, but
Or work for it hard.
they don't have to work for it. So that has a very big impact. All the generations that have grown in the last 50 or 5 or 6 or 7 generations have put a big impact that does not correspond to the evolution of the gastronomy. So the gastronomy evaluated at a much faster pace. We have created amazing techniques and amazing dishes, better products, better meats, better wines, but the actual people that are supposed to carry on the job to service the clients have a complete different agenda of life. And that is what it really impacts the restaurant industry, is the evolution of the human and the evolution of society. I think sooner or later it will come back. And only those good ones that you found nowadays are the ones that they have passion for it. Otherwise, you need soldiers. You don't need Indian chiefs. You can have a lot of, Indian chiefs. Everybody wants to be a manager nowadays. But we need soldiers that they are in love with the gastronomy industry.
The dynamics are different, and it keeps people motivated. The industry is so beautiful to work in. I mean, can you imagine? Your job is to make people happy. What better job can that, you understand my point? What better job can I have than making people that are my guests happy? You know what I mean?
You teased us a while ago with the label of your own. So this would be addressed to Carlos, and there was Gauci and Gaucho.
Yeah, this is
coming out online. So it intrigued me, as many of the people on the island. Tell us more about the wines. Why the Gauci label, Don Gauci actually?
Don Gauci, the name Don Gauci represents my grandfather, my late grandfather.
I was basically, let's call it commissioned to start with, but really with a lot of pleasure have been invited to partner with Marvin in planting some grapes in Hungary. That's how everything started. He came to see me one day. I met him accidentally. A friend of ours introduced us. I think it was about 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. Just to give you a small flavor about wine, my family has been in agricultural and gastronomy for ages. I would say more than 100 years. From my Basque backgrounds, we are maestro charcutiers, so what we do is actually charcuterie for hundreds of years. From very, very young, I learned that anything that we consume and everything that is good, it comes from the earth. So for me, making a good wine in all respects, everything starts at the choosing the right soil, doing the correct soil studies, taking the soil to do sometimes amendments to depending on what we are trying to achieve, planting the right clones, buying the right grapes from the right producers. For example, I buy exclusively from Rauchedo in Italy, one of the largest producers, but they're extremely professional because, for example, when I want to do a Pinot Noir, they send me 25, 30 different clones
To choose from.
That has how one of the wines that is here was born. Was actually born due to my wife. I was sitting in Los Angeles to our home in 2008, and she told me, "Can you please open a bottle of wine that we don't drink every day, that does not belong to us, and something that I really like?" So I went down to the best store and I checked a Sauvignon Blanc. I said, "Bring her this up." So we opened it, and she told me, "You have to make this." So
And if the woman
That's
asks a
how-
question,
that's how everything.
Happy life, happy wife.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like it. I mean, I really like the Sauvignon Blanc. It's one of my favorites, grapes. But that's how everything started. And going back to choosing the right clone, first we had the soil, and we asked, Rauchedo, please send us some clones of Sauvignon Blanc, and we're going to do some soil trials. And they sent me 60 different small bottles with different soils, which are samples of each clone. And we sat at 9 o'clock in the morning and we tasted 60 wines with my wife. And my wife said, "This is a clone, this is a clone, and this is a clone." Nowadays, I'm proud to tell you that I'm the #1 producer of Sauvignon Blanc of quality in Hungary. In the last 10 years, have been awarded the best Sauvignon Blanc of the country more than 8 times. We make 3 different Sauvignon Blancs. Fine dining selection, which we do for the gastronomy. We make an affordable Sauvignon Blanc for absolutely every sector, so anybody can drink our wines. And that's part of our success in the winemaking in Hungary. And that's why we are #1 in a lot of respects, making affordable wines of greater quality. And we have a third Sauvignon Blanc, which is a wild yeast selection, which we do the native yeasts that they give birth, their own plants give birth between the rows. We collect those and we inoculate it completely separate, and really is out of this world. It's really, really good. And in this case, I prepare a special Sauvignon Blanc for him because I went, he came and says, "I want a Sauvignon Blanc, but I want to participate in the making." And I blended it with him at the vineyard, at the winery.
it's the third one over there.
Yes, and it's really it has one of the qualities that it has is the high minerality, and it's not so invasive as the New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs, where you have too grassy, too overpowered fruit.
As the story goes, I heard it on Sunday that you have 3 different continents actually covered with it. What are your challenges that you faced in Argentina, and what are your bureaucratic issues that you had in Hungary, though?
Okay, our major challenges in Argentina has always been the politics. So being able to export wine or to prepare wine to take out of the country, it has been very difficult. As for example, Chile, who has done a much better job at spreading their wines worldwide, being a fraction of what Argentina is. So that's one side. The terroir and the possibilities to make wine in Argentina spread over 4,000 kilometers nowadays. So you have wines from Catamarca, which is up north, close to the Andes, and Patagonian wines, where my family comes from. So the range of soils, of water, of weather patterns, the proximity to the, to the heights where you get the ocean breeze. I mean, you have hundreds of microclimates that can help you, or can help the artist produce any type of wine. But the challenge always remains at how we do to pay Argentina for the wine and to receive the wine. I have, at this moment, as we speak, I have a container of Malbec on the ocean going to Hamburg. That we bring it in bulk, which is that wine that is open over there, which you tasted the other day. Fantastico, sí. Yeah, we bring it in bulk because that's another challenge that we have in Argentina. We cannot find the dry goods. We cannot find the cork, we cannot find bottles, or if we find, it's difficult, it's more expensive because most of the products come from abroad. So there is large import taxes. Nowadays, our new government is trying to change that and to open, the market. But I still believe that I like to bring it in bulk. So my brother makes it. I bring it in bulk and I do the final adjustments at the winery, bottle it. And this brand has been established in Hungary for over 17 years as well. So we have we sell lots of it. So people
It's nothing new. I mean, wine was traveling in bulks since ages. So
exactly.
Centuries and centuries. It even gets better.
Even get better.
You mentioned Sauvignon Blanc. So what is the difference? One Sauvignon Blanc that really caught my eye was served with a fish. There was a fish dish on Sunday, and I really liked it. It was full-bodied almost, very strong, very complex.
You're talking
Sauvignon Blanc.
You're talking about the gold tap, right?
The gold tap.
Yes.
So I used 3 different clones to make that Sauvignon Blanc, an R3, a 242, and a 118. I also do 3 different harvests. So I harvest early to inoculate with very cold, at very low temperature to capture, all the fruit smells and and all the flavors. Then the middle one to get a little bit of content, and the latest one to get a little bit of the sweetness. So I harvest depending on the year at 3 different times, and that's kind of our let's call it our procedure or our trick how to make. So we have a vineyard which is the top of a mountain with southern and northern exposure and with perfect irrigation. So that means we don't get water collect. And if you walk our vineyards, which I invite you to come, you will come for sure, you will see that we are at the top of the mountain. So it does this. And we have an extension of 8.9 kilometers of vineyards.
What enticed you how did you click together to speak about making the wine together for this market?
I think that the most important wine I saw that Marvin has the artistry of making food, and it's a natural gift. So you don't need Marvin to tell anybody. You give him 3 ingredients and he makes you something marvelous. I mean, it happened to me in my own home, and I like that. So I say, I want to give I want to make something for this guy that can reflect his qualities. And he really liked working with me because
Give him 3 clones and he makes a good one.
Exactly. Look, look, the way that Carlos makes wine, yeah, and the way that he has his structured, yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, fascinating for me to watch. You know, this has been always my dream to have my own label and be involved, and Carlos made it happen. And I couldn't be happier than I am today.
Following some of the things that we were talking earlier, I like to mention that one of the success that we have is that we've been able to keep the same employees for 25 years. Some 25, some 22, some 17. It's unbelievable, but we have given the conditions for them to stay with us and develop together a concept. We have a way to work, so we know where we're going. We are not cutting any corners. We are trying to make a good wine at an affordable price, or an excellent wine at an affordable price. And that's what the difference comes to when you make very, very good wines. Nothing to do with this. I mean, this is something, another complete category. I mean, these wines are made to keep. These wines are made for connoisseurs. Nowadays, there is so many amazing wines all over the world, so many artistry in winemaking, and the possibilities are endless, correct? But we're trying to make within what we have, trying to make always something new, improve, and without leaving aside, I think that technology has helped a lot.
We want to simplify the wine world to the normal viewers and to the generation of people who are not into complex stuff. This is like an art. You get a paint, you get a brush, you have 12, 15, 20
a canvas and
paints and canvas, and paint what you want, mix and match and do whatever you like. But this is the open world for you.
Yeah, this is something that we studied at length, and this is how I invented a dry muscat that we don't have here. That is the best introductory wine, which is only 11 to 11% alcohol, which is full of flavor, absolutely dry in the mouth, and it invites for younger people to get introduced to the wine industry. And that was how we also became successful. We chose
Following the trends.
because the Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, Sauvignon Blanc was our second. So, you know, between Sauvignon Blanc and the Irshai Oliver, that is a blend of different muscats that we make. We sell almost 500,000 bottles in Hungary. So you can imagine that Hungary is not such a big country. So our wines are really everywhere. That's how we were able to find always trying to find the need of the customer, working from the customer in, not from the ego out. You know, if from my ego, I make wine for my wife. From my ego, I make wine for him.
For you.
For me, or for him, or this, for example,
But
what you have in your.
Obviously.
This is something is made with full egocentric quality to the end, without cutting any corners. I mean, there's no budget to make that wine,
Mentioning Hungary, I need to say Ege Sigedre is the only word I know how to utter.
Ege Sigedre, it's amazing to meet you. Thank you.
Carlos, you and Marvin created this range of wines. How did you, by deciding to make the wine together, how did you went to blend this range of wines, actual range, with your cuisine? Because I believe that there was a symbiosis here.
But it's very simple, because all the wine that he makes blends in very well with my food. So You can drink all the wine with anything and you will just have different flavors. Nothing will, not many different ingredients. And I know that there's a lot of people that are gonna say different than this, but I believe that if it's a good wine, it blends with anything. Only a few ingredients that
Depends how brave you are and how
No, it
you
was
don't
not.
like to
It was.
follow.
I have to say that it was not a very difficult task, because he makes all kinds of food, and he has different types of restaurants. I mean, try to make something that is drinkable. The concept of making wine that is difficult for people to understand has a very, very small marketplace. Just a few people, very few people can understand certain wines.
Yeah.
But for example, this specific wine, which is a Pinot Noir of very high-end quality, it can be understood by any drinker. And I believe that that's the way we want to take the industry to. I believe that that's the only way that we can go. So making wines that people can understand easily, of higher quality, prepared with love. Consumer-centric is the most important message that I like to pass. And then making smaller amounts of wines for connoisseurs. So I would say that with the changes of the constant changes on trends of drinkers, we have to find tastes of old traditions, new tastes of old traditions. So we have to start with the technology, with planting, we have to find what wines that people want to drink. That's the hardest part. During any winery that I have been in the world, they always want to have what they call the bread and butter, correct? They want to find which is going to be produced the cash flow, which one is going to bring the income to pay the bills. 90% of the people that they are in the wine industry or want to be in the wine industry tells you that winemaking is the worst business that you can be in. No, it's not true. Our wineries are all profitable. It's just the approach. It's just how industrialist you want to be, and how what is your goal? What is your goal? So that's why I involve the people I love. I couldn't do this with the Hungarians and with the Americans that I have as employees that I have chosen one by one. I couldn't do this on my own. You can imagine this is not. I have a chapeau to all of my teams, but mostly the ideas come from love and come at home.
What is your favorite food and what is your favorite wine?
Favorite food, believe it or not, is soup. I think that it's so difficult to create the perfect potash or the perfect soup, and it's something that can be served to the poorest and to the richest, with sophistication and with simplicity. This is one I call it my favorite, food itself. Obviously, I like caviar. I like meat. I'm the official beef importer, Argentinian beef importer into Hungary. I love a good steak. But if we talk food as food, I like to say that the human being eats for nutrition. And that's one of the oldest type of nutritions that have developed the most with different ingredients. And I love a great soup. If you want to give me something good, give me a good soup. Now we have volutes, we have creamy soups, we have soups, I think it's thousands. There are a lot more soups than beef. There are a lot more soups than lobster recipes. So that's why one of my favorite foods is soup.
Wow.
And sometimes it's harder, it's very, very hard to match a wine because I do wine
With the
pair
soup.
with the soup.
With the soup, yes.
With the soup.
Yes.
And that's why
You're
I like
right.
it so much. So I have to taste the soup, and then sometimes I have to taste 10 wines. Because there's so many things inside the soup.
That's
that I
the
have-
reason why I like soup.
Or
because we have to
you
taste
already
them.
tasted hundreds of wines, and then you go, oh no, with this soup, this wine would be the greatest one.
No. It
No,
needs to
I-
be in the moment. Carlos likes the drink.
I have one of the best chefs
In Hungary.
in Hungary. His name is Andre Vicaio, and I also have in my staff the best champagne sommelier, and a very, very, very high-end person, seniors both, okay? And that is his name is Peter Tu Peter. He's from Hungary, and my chef is from Brazil.
Marvin, but you didn't tell us what is your favorite wine.
My favorite wines have my name on it. Prepared by the
Big
legend himself. Oh, I love the Sauvignon Blanc. The Sauvignon Blanc is my favorite. That's why then we created another one, which is a Marvin Gauci blend. Okay? And that's one of my favorite.
We need to go back to something that you didn't say. Caviar Bull, and after Caviar Bull, you went and opened.
Well, then I opened Budaman. Do you remember Budaman?
Yes, this is.
And we used to do social Sundays there. It used to be packed. And we used to have a DJ.
A relaxed atmosphere.
Very relaxed atmosphere. And I had one of my best favorite dishes that was there was the quail with the pomegranate sauce. It was to die for.
Was it something you served on banana leaf or
Yes,
something?
you remember that? Jesus, really, you remember it?
Did you serve it on banana leaf?
Yes,
That was the dish.
yes.
When did you open Uncensored?
Uncensored restaurant we opened in 2019, just exactly before COVID hit.
I didn't visit that one. And what is the story about it? I mean, I was seeing the videos and stuff.
Uncensored was a continuation of an experienced restaurant. So if you wanted to have something more elevated, I had created Dinner in the Sky. And after Dinner in the Sky, I realized that people were afraid of heights.
Most
A lot
of
of
them.
people are afraid of heights.
Not to mention dropped mobiles and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, it's still very successful. It still does very well, but people are afraid to go. So it wasn't for everyone. So I wanted to create something magnificent on the ground. And the only thing I could think of is by having 360 degrees projection, integration in like a concept of traveling from one country to the other with audio, with visual, with
Virtual reality.
yeah, kind of a little bit like that. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and the food is amazing. The chef over there, which is Jury, he's been with me for maybe 7, 8, 9 years. I'm not sure exactly, but a long time. And this is the restaurant where they experiment, because in Caviar and Bull over there, it's kind of structured. Yeah, so I do the recipes, I want them a certain way, there's a lot of my input in it. And then there's Uncensored, where the creativity of the chefs can come out. It's like over here, when there's like special functions or when there's a menu, I take all the people's, so all the staff and all the chefs' input and everything, and then I create the dishes. Where when it comes to Uncensored, I let it to the chefs to decide what to put
On
in
their
the
own.
dishes. Yes,
So
I mean.
what you will be working today, don't tell me.
Obviously, before it goes to the client, I need to test it. But so far, I have been impressed.
But I need to mention one special guy with Michael Sultana, amazing chef, amazing friend.
He is like a brother to me. Michael is has been in the industry since I don't know, man, maybe even before me. And when I met him, he was working in a butcher shop. He was selling meats, and he was like explaining the different cuts of meats. And when I met this guy, I said, I want this guy with me. The knowledge he had, the way he put things together, you know.
So when thinking of him, I think of Tarragon. And
I think in Tarragon restaurant, when I opened Tarragon, Carlos, listen to this. I think I was in the kitchen for the first 3 months. And then Michael handled everything. Whatever I said, it was done. You know, that's when something is successful. When I say this is the direction we're going and this is where we go. And the people around me have to help me do that because I cannot do it by myself.
when you mention past Tarragon, we are talking about something that's going to happen in the future.
So our next project is the Urban Wine Hub, which as we said before to you, I mentioned it before to you, myself and Carlos are doing in Budapest. And having 1,500 bottles of different tickets of bottles of wines in the wine cellar is for me one of the best dreams that any restaurateur, chef, or whoever wine enthusiast can have. So can you imagine that every day I will go into a place and there is 1,500 different bottles of wine that I can taste.
And any plans for Malta for the future?
Well, we have Valletta opening in a couple of months. We have Caviar Bull in Valletta opening in a couple of months. And then we have a rooftop over there as well. And we have another restaurant, like a private restaurant underneath Caviar Bull from a different street level. And I think by the end of next year or beginning of the following, we will have our own nightclub restaurant club in Valletta. And this is all happening in Old Bakery Street, corner with St. Lucie Street. So it's St. Lucie and Bakery Street. The hotel is going to be called Romegas Hotel.
What is the favorite restaurant that two of you like to go together for the wine and the food?
Oh, I can't wait to do Urban Wine Hub. I don't know about Carlos, but Carlos also is very good in designing, constructing. He has a different company doing all this as well. So it's going to be much easier for me.
And I'm going to jump back to Carlos for Argentinian experience. So Patagonia, I heard so many nice things about foods, drinks, way of living, remote cabins. What is your perspective on that? What do you enjoy the most when you are back in Argentina?
Well, I think that the Patagonia, it's a place where every human being should visit once. So the remoteness of it, it gives a flavor of wildness. At the same time, there's such Argentina is so vast and so long that you see so many different, beauties. As you travel, you have the glaciers, you have the mountains, the Andes, the plains. You have different colors of soils. You have excellent soil, which produce excellent wines. And the Patagonian wines are actually not so old. So the Patagonia...
recently added to the wine world.
Have added to the world war, and it yields, for example, amazing Pinot Noirs. I think he won one of the best Pinot Noirs of the world not long time ago, because the soil is very different. They have calcareous soil and they have redlands inside the soil.
That was my next question, but please go on.
They have such an incredible, layers of soil that you cannot find anywhere else, and that's due to the fact that it was a part of the world that it was frozen for many years. So as you know, every freeze has left different type of different type of rocks. different types of calcareous sedimentations, which is, which brings the land to have an amazing, variety of things to work with and to create. The good thing about Argentina is where you can decide where and when you can make wine from which sector. I have created brands that I sell. So I'm usually staying in Mendoza and Valle de Uco to create, a very, very elegant, off-the-book Malbec for everybody drinking at an affordable price, again, but of excellent quality, of superior quality. For that, you have to make small batches. When I say small batches, it's minimum 40,000 bottles. If you try to, the larger amount of wine you try to make of one quality, then you have to stabilize the wine and you have to start blending with other wines or making what is used to be made a long time ago, which was a vino madre. So we used to make pots of 700,000 or 7 million liters of wine. We used to add the whole harvest inside, and 1 year after, we take the amount of wine we're gonna sell. So always remains the same wine inside. That's the way that Argentina started making wine 250 years ago, 200 years ago when the immigrants came into Argentina. Nowadays, obviously, there is thousands of implants and foreign investors have been making amazing and divine wines. Making wine in Argentina, as I mentioned before, is a challenge, but it's a journey.
What is your favorite variety in Argentina?
My favorite
that
variety,
you are growing, obviously.
Yeah. My favorite grape from Argentina is Cabernet Franc.
And you make 100% Cabernet Franc.
I do.
Wine.
I do.
So, what's your favorite wine?
The one I drink with you.
Guys, we did a small break to taste the other wines. Now, I don't know if we're gonna have enough energy left to close the show. So for the closing word, I need to say that it was a really pleasure to meet you both today here. Thank you for your hospitality, for the wines, for
That's what we're here for.
the good company, friendship.
Thank you.
And I'll be gladly visiting Carlos soon in Hungary, and probably you will be there as well. So we're going to have another conversation maybe sometime soon, maybe next year, who knows. But what I want to say again, cheers.
Cheers, sir.
Egészségedre.
And in Maltese we say Saha.
Saha.